Good evening. I'd like to call the North Augusta City Council study session for Monday, February 24th, 2025 to order. Seems like it's been a couple of weeks since we've been here together, so it's nice to see everybody. Thank y'all for being here. At this point, I'm going to turn this over to our city administrator, Mr. Jim Clifford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as our practices on study sessions, we'll go ahead and go through the agenda review for next week's city council meeting. Then we'll have department details, and then under mayor's matters, we have two focus items. One is a tourism update from Carl Waldauer, and second will be your favorite topic, which is the debris pickup for Hurricane Helene. So I'm excited to give that to you as well. Let's go through the attachments we have for the agenda for next week. So we only have one item under old business, which is under planning and development, ordinance number 2025-05, imposing a moratorium on the issuance of certificates of zoning compliance, building permits, design review approvals, site development plan approvals, subdivision approvals, or other similar land use or construction approvals for any multifamily developments, second reading. And so this is the short title of apartment moratorium. This is something that's been discussed at previous study sessions and had a successful first reading at the previous city council meeting. So I have no new updates to provide for you at this point in time for this item, but I'll pause for any questions before we go into new business.
We corrected the language under, what was it, section 3? Is that correct? Wasn't there some language that was? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Tommy says yes.
Okay. Just clear.
All right, we'll go into our new business. So starting on item number 7 under engineering, which is ordinance number 2025-06, Article 3 titled Construction Permit Schedules of the City of North Augusta, first reading. And so this was an item that we asked to put in front of the council regarding work schedules for construction, which isn't just for home construction, but also for contractors that are involved with work at various residences across the city. And if you'll just allow me one moment, I'll go ahead and pull that for you.
Well, I'm getting something about construction. Am I missing this already? Am I jumping ahead? Oh, that's 7. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is schedule a fee. I think this is a construction permit. This is.
Tom has whispered in my ear that we have not adequately reflected the construction fee permits regarding what's in ordinance versus what's best practice. So I'll probably have Tom come up and give a quick chat on this one to tell us what we're doing. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, so basically this is considered a housekeeping matter. We, in the 24 budget, adopted budget, well, let me back up a little bit. Our building permit fees are based on valuations that are published by the International Code Council. And these are basically per square foot prices based on a national average. And I know you can't see this, but this matrix here, every type of building fits into one of these categories in this matrix, and then that's how we derive the total building valuation, and then consequently the permit fee based on the schedule in the city code. In the 24 budget, prior to 24, we had applied a modifier to these fees of 85%, and that I can't explain the history of that. It was felt somewhat arbitrary to me. Basically, it reduced our valuations from the published International Code Council's fees. And so I requested and recommended and was approved to change that modifier to 1. In other words, so that our valuations match the published figures. However, I forgot about the pesky footnote in the city code where that 0.85 modifier was still shown in the city code ordinance, and so this is just to strike that 0.85 and replace it with 1.0 in footnote B of
We already approved the change, just that we're just cleaning.
Well, it was approved. It was approved as part of our budget. My revenue.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. It needed to be approved in two different places. And so you as the council had approved that as part of the budget
Yeah, that's what I
process
thought.
through.
This is
going
just to
20.
clean up.
Correct, the
table.
code.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So that we will base our building valuations on the exact figures that are published by the International Code Council.
Okay.
So so Tom, thanks for that because you did a way better job than I would have on that. So let's go ahead and move into items number 8 and 9, which I'm going to really kind of go as a bundle because they both have to do with the hive at exit 1. So the first, and Tommy's likely going to come to the lectern, and by likely I mean he's going to come to the lectern and talk about these ordinances. And so the first one is ordinance number 2025-07 to amend the zoning map at the city of North Augusta, South Carolina by rezoning plus or minus 25.59 acres of land owned by Whole Martin Town LLC. Lists the tax parcel numbers there from general commercial to PD plan development, and this is an ordinance, so this requires 2 readings, not 1. And then the second item, which is linked to this action, is under planning development also, which is ordinance number 2025-08 to approve the general development plan for the 201.8 plus acres, the Hive plan development on the east side of West Martintown Road between Knobcone Avenue and Interstate 20, first reading. So Tommy, if you wouldn't mind just telling what the action was through the Planning Commission and then what the City Council has before them to consider.
Basically, the simple explanation of it is the northwest corner of the Hive, as you ride down Martintown Road and look at it, there by the red light, is zoned general commercial. And we had reached out to the developer because he's been talking to us as it being part of the PD, and we'd say no. And so finally we had a conversation and suggested to him that he rezone this. And the light bulb went on, and he researched it, came back to us and said, yeah, I think that would be a good idea. That way we're playing the same set of rules throughout this development as you would think it would be. And then the zoning or the PD modification is now you've got an extra 20-something acres in that PD. So you need to increase the square footage allowed for the commercial to accommodate for that extra 20 acres. This does not have anything to do with the residential portion on the backside. And that's,
Was there any, I didn't get a chance to watch the planning commission, was there any issue on their end with this? Anything that we need to be aware of besides they were fine with it?
that they were fine with it,
Okay.
unanimous, and said it made sense.
Yeah, I think it does. I just.
Tommy, thank you for that, because again, that was a much cleaner explanation than I was prepared to give. So let's go ahead and move into item number 10 under administration, ordinance number 2025-09, amending section 12-21, parentheses 9, related to hours for construction work, first reading. So this is what I was attempting to jam in there on number 6, I believe, or number 7. And so ultimately, we've had some discussions with developers, and we've also had discussions with residents and homeowners associated with work hours for construction. So I'll give you some examples of things that are currently against our code. If you're a 5-day-a-week work kind of person and you ask a general contractor to come and do work that generates noise at your property on a Saturday, that's currently not within code and does not meet the work hour requirements. And we also have contractors that are building larger tract items, and including futurely the Hive and then Adelaide, where their requests are going to be for 6-day-a-week work days going forward. And so ultimately what we took a look at, and Kelly Zier gave us a hand with putting this together, but amends essentially the ordinances such that it would allow for construction work to happen as it does now, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., but also expands that to Saturday. Does not include Sunday. Sunday is still not included in the work hours for construction, but this would allow for, again, residents to contract out work on their homes and also to allow for developers to work on Saturdays, as many of them are seeking to do. And so I'll pause for any questions or comments from the council.
That's any neighborhood from now on.
Inside the city limits of North Augusta, yes, ma'am.
Well, I think I'll just start out by saying, I mean, I agree. I believe that the current ordinance is more restrictive than it ought to be. But I'm a little hesitant to extend those hours on Saturday from 7 to 6. 7 o'clock in the morning, people banging hammers on an adjacent neighborhood. I don't, I'm just having trouble getting comfortable with that. So I do understand if I'm having somebody come over to redo my bathroom or to cut trees down or to do some sort of a work. I think most of our citizens would want to have the opportunity to have that done on a Saturday when they're there. I think when we get to the bigger developments, I get a little bit more uncomfortable with it, and I certainly get uncomfortable with it with having those hours 7 to 6. I probably could get more comfortable with it if we contracted those hours somewhat on Saturday, maybe just not to start so early in the morning.
David?
Yep, and I was gonna say the exact same thing. I just think 7 a.m. on Saturday is a little early. Maybe do like 8.
I was saying 9 to 5, but I mean, I'm open.
Yeah.
7's pretty early.
Yeah, I think 7 on Saturday is just too early.
Well, being in the industry, I would say that,
Oh, you'd rather be 5 in the morning, I understand.
well, they're going to get there as early as possible. But, Saturday ends up being a catch-up day if you have a bad weather day or so forth, and it's very much needed. Unfortunately, it's going to disturb some people on Saturdays. But the one good thing about it is it's going to help increase the rate in which the development gets done. So therefore, instead of a year and a half dealing with it, you might be 12 months dealing with it. So it could help in the long term.
I think that's
that's
fine.
a
It's just the
valid
hour.
point, but yeah, I mean, is an
I
hour,
think- I
2 hours
think-
to make a difference?
Yeah, it's going to change the whole routine of what people do. So 7 o'clock to me is very reasonable. Typically, they're there on 7 o'clock, ready to roll regardless. So if we want to be in a position where we're sending out public safety and putting more demand on them on a Saturday morning to go shut someone down at between 7 and 8, then we'll have to deal with that, because I'm going to tell you, they're going to start at 7. So either we're going to allow it so we can let them work, or then we're going to be dealing with the same issue we are and put another load on public safety, having to go out and stop them for an hour. So I think it's a reasonable time. Not everybody has a 9 to 5 job. So
We currently weren't allowing Saturday work before this.
There's only through exception, Councilman.
Well, I guess my mind's going with, kind of leaning
It did
towards,
happen.
9 to 5 is better than what it was. So we could start there and move it if we
I mean, to David's point, I think it's a really difficult thing to enforce. I mean, we know that people are breaking that ordinance every Saturday and have been for years. Because honestly, most people don't even know that that's on the books, and those that do, does put a burden on public safety. So I get that. I understand what you're saying, David, and I understand that's probably going to have some some enforcement struggles with it as well. I just, again, I would not feel good about supporting it starting at 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturdays.
they're probably really going to start about 6, but they might not be slinging a hammer till 7. But anyway, either way it goes, my concern is the enforcement. I mean, I agree with you. I think for the most time, most of these contractors are kind of respectful on Saturday, so they don't start as early on Saturdays typically. Most of them are pretty respectful on that.
If I could chime in just a little bit, I think if you've got a new housing development going in, you're going to have a lot of activity. But in most of your residential neighborhoods, you're talking about doing work on the weekends. It's not going to happen that much. It's going to be an occasional inconvenience. And I guess my next concern is, I think a lot more people get awakened on Saturday and Sunday morning with lawnmowers running at 6:30 or 7 a.m. And the next thing you're going to have is people saying, I don't want to be awakened at that period of time. So
So are you saying that 7 to 6 in other communities, this is a normal time frame on a Saturday?
Yes, sir. My contractor subs, when they working on a Saturday,
Oh, I
I try to
see.
hold them off sometimes, but depending on where they are, I don't stop them. Because some of them rather, they're gonna come. I usually try not to stop them because I usually am in the backs against the wall, so you want to get the work done quickly. So if you lost a rain day in the week or whatever, or materials or whatever, Saturday's the day that you can do it. So, okay. I mean, I want to support these things getting done quickly.
No, I'm with you. Okay. Mine thought about that. Okay. All right, we're not voting tonight anyway, so anyway, it's time to get out questions. So.
Well, I would just
Any
say
other questions for Jim?
if there's any
Anybody?
guidance you want to give for us to amend the hours and we've got time to work that ordinance change as opposed to doing a verbal, but if you need some more time to consider it and want to drop me a note later in the week and we'll make sure if we have quorum as far as, not a quorum, but as far as consensus on edits, we'll take those into account. But if barring any feedback I get from mayor and council in the interim, we'll leave this as it stands.
My preference would be David. I think David and Kelly have made good points. I just need to think through it. But yeah.
I'm with Kevin.
Oh yeah.
At least meet middle
In the fall, 6
start at 8
o'clock is great, but during the summer it's gonna be 8:30, 9 o'clock. But then we have the ability to enforce it if we need to, if it gets crazy. But typically they work till dark. But I think 6 o'clock is a reasonable number in the evening.
Oh, yeah.
All right, barring any additional feedback, we'll move on to our next item, which is item number 11, ordinance number 2025-10, amending Article 6, Division 2, demonstrations and parades of the municipal code for the city of North Augusta, section 16100 through 16105, specifically amending the transfers. Amendment transfers the authority of the issuance of permits related to demonstrations and parades from the city council, the city administrator, or assistant city administrator first reading. And so this is something that Kelly's here and administration and mayor have talked about a little bit, which is how many routine things are we bringing to the city council for decision. And so probably the best example that would fall into this ordinance is the Lions Christmas Parade. And every year, the Lions Christmas Parade has to come to city council and make a presentation and say, here's what we'd like to do. And so I would certainly like to be able to get that to a point where it's just an advertisement and they can come in during a power hour or studies or a council meeting and just make a comment about it and make sure it's on our calendar, but doesn't require the entire council to have to deliberate whether or not we're going to allow that particular item. And then also what it allows you to do is have an appellate authority, if you will, that if somebody comes and say, I want to have a parade downtown on this thing, and I turn it down as the administrator, it can be appealed, if you will, to the council for action. So this at least gives you a first check. So things that are in the routine bucket, like the Christmas parade, would be something that we can handle at administration. And ultimately, if that is any disagreements with the council, you have the ability to change that decision.
Yeah, you answered my question. I just want to make sure we have the capability to override if we felt necessary. I don't know why we.
I would think so, but I would defer to Kelly.
I don't know why we would.
I just, somebody may ask for a
unique
certain type of parade that we may not agree with.
We've never hadn't had one yet.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to go back and look. I'm not sure it's exactly written in there that way because all we did here is where it provided that council had the right to make these decisions. They were written out and it provided that the city administrator and assistant city administrator would do that. I'll have to look a little further to see if there's an override. And I think council generally has the ability to do that. But I'll look back and I guess the question is, if you want that in there, I can make sure it's in there for the first reading next week.
I think we need to know that it can be. I don't foresee that happening.
We can certainly add that language, but I think just
that we need to have it.
Just so the council is clear, again, my authorities derive from the mayor and council. I have no independent authorities as your city administrator. And so ultimately, if you are unhappy with the decisions that's made in administration, you have the ability to to override that through, a vote or, some other kind of aspect as in the strong mayor form of government.
We know you love the Christmas parade.
All right, Kelly, I think what I heard is they wanted to add language to make sure that if denied by the administrator and the Grinch, that you can go ahead and get an override through the council, which I'm totally. Okay.
Change how the process currently is, though, if we do that.
Yeah, because we have to do a resolution.
Yeah, but to that point, isn't it implied in the fact that you're his boss that if you don't, through you can counteract?
Well, let me tell you, I think that in a lot of ways it is, but understand again, this is an ordinance. This is a city law that you all have established, and you've said that they have that authority. If you want the authority to override in some provision, I think we probably need to put that in.
All right. I'm not opposed to that. I just, to Jen's point, it almost feels like that's then just putting it back in our power ultimately to do, which is not the intent. But I don't have a problem with that.
My input would be on the front end. Yeah, I don't think it's good, but I'm just saying, I just throw it out there.
I just feel like if we put that language in there, I just feel like it's circling back to the current process that's already happening. Maybe I'm not understanding it correctly.
The current process, based on the ordinance, Councilwoman, is that they are required to come to you as the council to get a resolution to allow them to do, let's say, the Christmas parade, because it's the easiest example. Yeah. So they have to go, so from a timing perspective, they have to come in here and make a presentation and then go through a resolution. If they go through administrative channels, and I say, yep, no problem on this date. We coordinate with the public safety and make sure everything is good. Obviously, we talk to the mayor before we do a lot of our administrative actions. And we go, this is fine. Then there's no requirement then for Terry Carroll or whoever else is representing the Christmas parade to come down here and ask for permission to you all as the council. But the reason why that's the way it is now is because it's an ordinance. So all you're doing is saying that authority gets vested in your city administrator, and then you'll put a safety valve override so that if I say for some reason that, hey, we're not going to celebrate Christmas this year, and there's a hue and cry that you as the council have the ability to say, well, Jim, that wasn't a great idea.
Okay, so it saves time.
And time with Kelly and Jamie of having to type it in the minutes and all that.
Only comes to us if he denies it and they want to come have us reconsider it.
I'd be shocked if that happens anyway.
I only remember like 2 other different events that had to get a permit for a parade.
And then it would just matter of doing his administrative updates would say, hey, by the way, it's coming up and done, so just cleaner.
All right, we'll move on to item number 12 under Planning and Development, resolution number 2025-07, accepting a deed dedication for the street sanitary sewer, stormwater collection and fire suppression system, associated easements and rights of way, along with a maintenance guarantee and letter of credit for Russian Waters Phase 2. So again, this is something that's happening here within Russian Waters, and for those who are not familiar with that neighborhood, that is just north of Mossy Creek Elementary School along 5 Notch Road. They've completed the Phase 2 aspects of the infrastructure, and so this is a routine item that we do, and this has been reviewed and recommended both by Tom and Tommy with Public Works and Planning and Development. Any questions on that item? Okay, then we're going to move on to item number 13 under Boards and Commissions, Stadium Advisory Board, appointed by the mayor, receipt of information by council, and in your packets addressed to myself was a letter from Missy Martin, the VP of Business Administration for the Augusta Green Jackets. And so as you all know, Tom Denglinger has departed and moved to New York State and is managing a ball club not too far from West Point. And so because of the makeup and the consistency of the Stadium Advisory Board, which is 3 city members and 2 members from the Augusta Green Jackets, they nominated Andrew Crawford to be Tom's replacement on the Stadium Advisory Board. And so that would be before you as far as from a receipt of information perspective. And the city staff have no objection to Andrew as a member of the Stadium Advisory Board. And with that, I believe we'll move to item number 14, which is the under elections 2025 municipal general and special election certification of candidates from the Municipal Election Commission, receipt of information by council, And I didn't know if Jamie or Mayor Williams had anything they wanted to add on that one.
Well, I'm going to say this again, probably every meeting, especially our regular city council meeting, but just to let citizens know, you can now go to the city's website, and on the right side, bottom right, under news, it says 2025 Partisan General Election, Special Election Information, April 29th. You clicked on that, it takes you to a screen that says click here for details. And there has everything you want to know. It has the public notice. So if you want to know, Pat, your precinct, what polling station, we have it out on already. So it's the law 60 days, we've done it beyond that. Also, if citizens want to know the minutes of our municipal election commission, all that's on there because we believe in transparency. So all that information out there. There's also, Jamie's put a quick links, election quick links. If you click on that, it takes you to SC votes and you can look up your precinct. So all of that is a one-stop shop brought to you by our amazing city clerk, Jamie Ball. So I think it's going to make it, hopefully we can drive. So what I'm going to ask on social media, our wonderful social media sites, we need them, North Augusta Info, North Augusta 2020, all things North Augusta. We're getting information out there over 60 days. So we need you as administration of these sites, please send people to that information. It's out there. We come April 29th, we should not have a single citizen wonder, where did I go? Where my precinct is. It's out there in a lot of time. So
All right.
we're going to promote it every Monday.
Now, this site, like I said, a lot of citizens called us about last time. And, you know, I gave them that scvotes.sc.gov. Well, you go to that, and like I'm 27, does it tell them, though, when you get to 20? Now, mine was open. I was lucky. But is this going to say, are all precincts open for the general?
We already have it on the public notice.
I mean, all precincts are open or not?
15 polling.
But there's what, 30 precincts or something?
No, all the precincts are open. But what I'm saying, Pat, is this. You don't have to send them to SC Vote.
Uh-huh.
Send them to the city website. We have it on the site for them to find out where the polling location is and how the link to get what their precinct is.
Okay.
And just for clarification for your precincts, because we are a municipal election, we can pool the precincts up to a certain amount. So we're able to, we'll have 15 polling locations, not the 30 that you're used to for like your presidential and all those type of elections. So it is important that they look at their precinct number to what their polling location will be, which is on that notice that is on our website at the moment.
But it'll say like 26 might vote at 25.
No, North Augusta 26 votes at Fairview Presbyterian Church.
But they wasn't on the primary.
It's nothing to do with primary.
No, I know it's general, but I'm telling you what the big problem was.
We did not even oversee that election.
Yeah, but we can now because it's general.
We're doing it. The city's
doing it.
And
the Democrat Party. This is our responsibility.
Okay.
Councilman, in the amount of time that you asked about, where the site was, I pulled this up right off our city website. So on the very front page of the city website, as on the bottom right, as the mayor said, more news, and it lists out when you click on that portion exactly the document of.
Well, that's good. I mean, I'm telling y'all, the primary was a nightmare for citizens. Primary was a nightmare, not knowing where to go. And of course, it was raining and cold. That didn't help. But they'd go to their precinct and it wasn't there. I told them, why didn't they put a sign? If you were 25 and you're going to have to go, why not a sign on there 25 goes to, that's the primary. I know we're talking general, but I do not want, because that costs votes. I'm telling y'all, it costs people
What I
votes.
want you to do when we finish tonight, I want you to pull up the city website and just click on these and see how easy it is. And we got over 60 days. We got over 8 weeks, so we got plenty of time. We're going to promote this every Monday.
I'm really happy for that. I'm telling y'all, a nightmare. The primary was.
You got the vote.
Of course, we wasn't running it, right?
No, we were not running.
That might have been
Mr. Mayor, that's all I have for the agenda review, and with your permission, we'll move to department details, and if so, I'll throw it over to Jenny Hall.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The first up is Finance Department, Linda.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have a Cycle 1 due date March 6th, and Cycle 2 due date is March 21st this month. I need to add a little bullet point there. Our tax bills did get mailed out, and those due dates will be May 1st. Our business license renewals also went out, and they have a due date of April 30th. We have auditors to be on site in the finance office starting tomorrow for probably about 2 weeks while they complete our annual financial audit. And the conversion to the new billing software is almost complete. I'm not going to give you a date because every time I do, it's wrong. But we're getting there. And I just wanted to note that our online payments are working. But the thing that is catching everybody is that your name must be entered exactly as it is on your bill. So it's middle initial or middle name. And I think sometimes it has to be in all caps. But as long as it is exactly as your bill states, you should have no problem getting in online to make those payments.
Are they going to tweak that?
Yes. So our full focus right now is on that billing software. So once that is complete and the conversion is done, we will start and move focus to the portal so that we will have the logins, and we'll try to, they're talking about trying to figure out how we can connect those two things so that they can pull a different type of check and balance to make sure you're paying the right account. But again, we got to get this billing software going, and then we'll work on the portal.
So, Mr. Mayor and Council, just so you're tracking the guidance that we've given GovSense and there's other partners involved too, as far as third-party billing for credit cards, is utility billing. So we've taken a pause on all of the permit and construction work that we have been doing as far as the being able to do paperless applications. So we want the full team working on utility billing because that covers the most amount of citizens, and that's what they're dealing with. So they worked through some problems last week, and they had some issues and challenges associated with cash collection, and they were able to fix that and got that back online. So now citizens can come in person and pay cash if they so desire. And now they're also going through the rest of the billing cycles to make sure that that data has been fully ported over from the old software to the new software. And I'd like to just, throw Linda a lifeline here and say, ultimately, just like we have with the 911 dispatch software, you don't want to wait until the software completely fails before you have to move to a new system. And so, we went through a 911 migration. It was not as visible to the citizenry, but there were definitely some challenges associated with moving off the old system and onto SmartCop. But once SmartCop was fully implemented, it's been a good system for the Public Safety Department. And the reason why we went to that new system was because the old system was no longer supported by the software vendor. And when those things would fail on occasion, we'd have to pay some significant money to get extra IT folks in here to resuscitate it. And so our finance software is very much the same way. So the existing system that we have, even though it's worked well for us for a number of years, is well beyond its lifespan. And so if we didn't go through some kind of update or upgrade to the software system, we would be on a point where at some point in time it would just fail out. So I understand there's some challenges associated with that, but just want to let you know as the council that we're aware of it. Linda's been working it diligently, as his administration and our contractors. We're focusing all of the contractor effort on utility billing to make sure that's 100% straight before we move on to other interesting aspects of the software.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Kayla with Human Resources.
Evening, Mayor and Council. If you look on the back of your department details, you will see our short list of employment opportunities. Very proud of that. I'm not going wood though. Thank you.
Next up is Tom with Engineering and Public Works.
Good evening again. First up, Streets and Drains Department will be performing some alley repairs. This is the alley that extends from Bluff Avenue to Clifton Avenue, basically adjacent to the new Beacon Bluff project. the alley that comes out near Circle K on Clifton Avenue. They'll be doing some cutting and asphalt patching to get that alleyway in as good a condition as possible. We finally have received street lights and replacement street lights and street light poles for those that were damaged during Hurricane Helene. And we'll be working with a contractor and hopefully get all those replacements in within the next 2 weeks. There are 3 on Bluff Avenue, 1 on Georgia Avenue near First Baptist Church, and 1 on the Greenway near Beck Park. And then lastly, as a brief update to the leak repairs at SRP Park, or the stadium, that repair work has generally been going very well, in spite of a few weather delays that we experienced. The vertical surfaces have all been completely demoed and waterproofed, and they're now just waiting for the siding to be replaced back on those surfaces. The deck slab, however, although they revealed a number of defects and potential points of entry, water intrusion. The primary issue with that is that the same waterproofing system basically extends the entirety of the deck, and even with the making the repairs that have been revealed, there's we just cannot guarantee that the leaking will be solved. So a decision has been made to completely tear off the entire deck, the entire concrete surface of the Wow Terrace. And the contractor has begun that complete removal today, actually. They still are feel fairly confident, weather permitting, that they will meet the 1st of April completion date, which is a deadline that we've essentially imposed on them, but it could get into that first week in April by a few days, potentially. And just, again, without getting too much into detail, the contractor has basically guaranteed that the city's exposure on all that additional work will not exceed the amount that council has already authorized for the project.
Very good. Great job.
Any questions on that?
Good explanation. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Next up is Tommy with Planning and Development.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. We'll have the regular Board of Zoning Appeals next Tuesday night.
Next is Public Services, James.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I got a couple project updates. It's been ongoing for a while. The solid waste transfer station is drawing near to being complete. The contractor is just about finished erecting the building and is in the process of putting on the roofing material. We anticipate that'll be done by the weekend. He's got some site work he's got to finish up and some paving. We anticipate the project will be done by April 1st. And to give a brief overview related to the project, it's a DOE funded project. All of the city's waste from residential, commercial, and their yard waste will go up to this station and be loaded from the smaller trucks into the larger trucks and transported to the landfill for disposal. The benefits of it is going to be, we're going to see a significant cost savings in fuel, and also the wear and tear of the vehicles, which should extend the useful life of our vehicles. And it'll also open up the door for some additional revenue for some private haulers and some regional users to come in and pay us a fee to utilize the service. One of our other big projects, the wastewater interceptor, is funded by the state and city local funds. That project has been ongoing for about a year. The previous contractor who was awarded the cleaning and the pre-inspection came in and did all the heavy cleaning and inspections of the wastewater line. Just to get familiar with an overview on that project, That wastewater interceptor was installed in the early 1950s, and it was made of clay pipe, which over the years has cracked and fractured and is in very poor condition. Right now, the project stands, they've done the light cleaning and prepared 11,000 feet of pipe for the cured in place pipe liner, the new liner that will be inserted inside of the existing pipe from the end of River Oaks all the way down to Shoreline Drive. The contractor is scheduled to come in on March the 3rd and start inserting the new liner. So we are looking forward to that. There's a project completion date set for December 31st at the end of this year. So everything's going good.
James, is Rebecca Smith with your team?
Yes, sir, she is.
Okay, I just wanted to read this, and I don't know if she told you, but she got this email from one of our citizens. I'll forward this to you just for your records. But this is from Happy Parker, and she forwarded it to me. She said, this is to Rebecca Smith, who works for James. Thank you for going the extra mile and not only answering my questions, but providing the requested information directly to me. You're a wonderful representative for our city by being efficient and customer-oriented. Thank you very much. So I thought it was very kind, and so for our council, please pass on our thanks to Rebecca for what she's doing, because I know that's the area that we need to have someone doing what they're doing, and she's doing it.
I will let her know, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
And she is a big attribute to our department.
Next up is Public Safety, Lieutenant Velasco.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Progress is being made on the floor replacement at the kennels. The concrete company has formed the barriers between the kennels and will be finishing the project within the next 2 weeks. Our dispatchers are scheduled to train on the new 911 answering system at the new headquarters this week.
Good stuff. Thank you, Lieutenant Vasquez.
Next up is Parks and Rec, Rick.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Spring sports evaluations begin tonight. We have 1,234 participants currently registered, and I'm sure that number will continue to grow. Also want to give you an update at the North Augusta Bark Park. We have some talented maintenance crew, and they have gone in there and replaced the wooden play features that were damaged by the hurricane. And that same crew also was the crew that took care of the fencing, replacing the fencing. So saving the city some money. Good maintenance people. This weekend, the Riverview Park Activity Center will host the CSRA Heat Travel Volleyball Tournament on Saturday and Sunday. Next weekend, Nike EYBL Scholastic High School Conference Basketball Tournament will be held at the Riverview Park Activity Center. North Augusta Miracle League Field Ribbon Cutting Ceremony, Saturday, March 15th at 9:30. I will be getting an official invitation to you, but mark that down. And last, but the best news of the night for us is we have selected a Greenway coordinator. We're excited to announce that current Parks and Recreation employee Jake Stevens is our selection. Jake is very passionate about trails. Part of his resume is completion of the Appalachian Trail. If you're familiar with that, it's over a 2,000-mile journey, and Jake's excited to be taking over for the North Augusta Greenway.
Well, Jake has a lot of energy.
Yes, he does.
And he is a hard worker. I mean, he's a hard worker.
Yes. Thank y'all.
And to close out, And the closeout department details is Carl with tourism.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to highlight 3 events that are coming up in the area. Wednesday, February 26th, North Augusta Beautification Foundation is meeting at Community Center at 7 o'clock. It's a very welcoming group, so any citizens that have some interest in that certainly encouraged to attend. State of South Carolina Welcome Center Conference will be here next Tuesday through Thursday. The 70-person conference, and it includes State of South Carolina folks that work at the Welcome Centers around the state. I think there's 9 of them. And this conference was originally scheduled for October, but Hurricane Helene had a different idea on that. So 4 months later, they chose to come back and try it again next week. Also, next week, Chamber of Commerce annual meeting and awards gala is next Thursday at the Crown Plaza. There's still time to get your tickets for that, and they're going to pass out some business awards as well as name the Ambassador of the Year.
Jamie, you gonna get us some information on that for tickets? That's next week.
Carl, you might as well come on back up because I think you got the focus item.
All right. Well, good evening again. 30 seconds later here. So, got an update on tourism. The first quarter of 2025. We're 6 months into, since we released Explore North Augusta. Things gone really well. We got a good closeout to the year last year, I thought, and have made a lot of progress. 2025 obviously going to be our first full year taking a stab at this, and just kind of want to go over a few bullet points here of what staff's been working on. Kind of the dead year of January and February. Everybody's got kind of cabin fever and wondering what's going to come out next. So we've been working hard at kind of planning the year out. In November, staff and myself sat down, and I'm kind of a long range planning nerd, so we just cleared a whole day in our calendar to kind of set the tone for 2025, what we wanted to see, kind of big picture stuff, and we just didn't quite worry too much about details during that exercise, but just kind of lay out big picture stuff, what we wanted to accomplish. And right now we're in the process of kind of honing in and really diving into details of those categories we wanted to hit. And these are those kind of big ticket items we wanted to cover. I really want to take a moment and, as you guys know, our team is Ron Matthews, who takes care of a lot of our facilities at Community Center and here at Municipal Center, Palmetto Terrace mainly. Ron's a huge part of our team and takes a lot of that traditional stuff that we had going on and keeps it running. Jen Goldman does a lot of our, not a lot, but 95% of our creative stuff to it. She developed our website. She makes really cool graphics and does most of our social media. Does a really good job there. And Derek Boyd has been absolutely just a pleasure to work with here lately. He's just been absolutely, just paddling as hard as he can, getting these events set up. And I'm willing to say we're probably 80 to 90% covered on planning our events out for the year. Still got a couple loose ends to tie up with that, but we've got a good plan for this season. Next slide, please. So as you can tell here, well, maybe you can't tell. On the picture on the left is we took an ATAX project from a year and a half ago and used that money to kind of create a space and community center. This is in the back hallway. It kind of represents kind of a business center. We found a need for a lot of businesses coming to us. We need a small meeting space. We need a retreat type of place. A lot of city folks needed a meeting space, so we kind of used ATAX money and created this space back there. Now, this room can still be used in a traditional sense, but we thought it was a good idea. You see that screen in the background right there is called a clear touch panel. Kind of, if you guys have ever been to school, you can see, you can scribble all over. I got to learn the ins and outs of that and get with our IT team to really probably my kid probably.
That's cool.
Really figure that out. But it's got a computer built into it. We bought a web conferencing camera that goes on top of it. And so folks can have meetings there and also, dial in some folks remotely as well. And it's actually got 3 cameras sitting on top of it, so it kind of captures the whole room. And it looks really good. We've had a few folks already use it. The Forestry Commission's got a class. There's a 3-day class they're coming up with. Roy Kibler sent them our way, and we're going to have a class there for some certification classes. Banking folks have used it for some of their board meetings, shareholder meetings, stuff like that. And some insurance groups are coming up to give seminars as well. So I think it's a good use of that room, and it's going to be a good use of that space. It really is. So in the middle there is kind of my thing probably. We took, that back wall didn't exist before. We built a wall right there, and the last 8 foot of that room we used and created some storage space. Anybody knows, even at your house, you just never have enough storage space, and as tourism has grown, it was getting in the way of tables and chairs and everything else. So we kind of made a little shotgun closet there. We built a workbench in-house, and that's where we're storing all of our tourism assets right now, and it keeps all of our maintenance stuff all in one place. I felt like that was good use of that space. And that one on the right, you're probably wondering what the world that is. We've got a RFP out for painting. Certainly appreciate y'all allowing us to get the community center a little spruce up this year. But it's going to repair stuff like this. That's where some stucco is chipped off the wall. Like I said, the RFP's out in the street right now. And we're going to give a community center a little bit of love this year and give it a nice interior coat of paint and some stucco repair. We'll have a flooring RFP go out, as well as kind of dress up that lighting a little bit. It's really dim through there. A lot of those fixtures have left us, and you've been in the ballroom in the past couple of years. It's a pretty dim space. So we're going to try to do something about that in 2025. Certainly appreciate the support for that. But it's going to look really good come latter half of this year. So, but it wasn't a case of folks not taking care of it. It was just 30, 40 years worth of, the building's just tired. But we're going to give it a good look. Okay. Next slide, please. So one of the bullet points we talked about here is building our calendar base and creative marketing. A lot of this stuff is Jen's wheelhouse, to be honest with you. That calendar over there is garnered a lot of hits. It's gaining popularity as we're going. Just to give you a stat, we're over 4,000 website views in January and most of February this year, which I think is really good. And a good chunk of that, you can tell where they're going on our website. They're going to the calendar. I think folks are starting to get in tune a little bit as far as using that as a tool. So A, for folks to see what's going on, and B, for folks that are planning stuff to make sure they don't run into each other. I noticed a lot in North Augusta. We used to go to a lot of events that go on top of each other. Hopefully this will be a tool that folks get accustomed to using. So when they're planning events, they sit there and use this as a resource. Like I say, it continues to be one of our biggest items there, and it grows. And I'll tell you, the process we use it, we subscribe. Some folks have really good calendars already established, and we subscribe to their calendar, and it automatically populates it and dumps it onto ours. Every Monday, I think it's Monday, Jen goes on Facebook, Instagram, etc., and plucks these by herself and writes a short little blurb about it and links it to whatever happenings on there. So certainly we have an inquiry form on the bottom of the calendar. So if you guys have events, it's not exactly for like Councilman Toole's birthday party or something. We're not going to put that on there probably. But if it's if it's like a good public event that the public is welcome and invited to attend, we'll certainly throw it up there and help you with some exposure and so folks know about it around town. The middle picture there is James. James was the guy that participated in our Christmas scavenger hunt as part of the creative marketing aspect of this. We came up with a Christmas scavenger hunt through the holiday season, which I thought gained a lot of traction, had a lot of followers to it. And James is a perfect example of who we're going after right here. James is an electronic warfare instructor out at Fort Eisenhower. And he said, man, I came across y'all's website and Facebook and started following it, participated, and he won one of the first ones. He sat there and talked to us for a long time saying, man, this is so cool. I went here. I didn't know this was here. He actually won a gift card. Bowl Boss flipped us a gift card to give out as a prize. And he said, I haven't been there. I can't wait to try it. Now, he didn't give a report back. But that's kind of like what we do, why we're doing this creative marketing stuff. It exposes us to folks like James right there. Really cool dude. And we're going to continue our efforts with Facebook, Instagram, and we're going to start dabbling a little bit to YouTube and throw some videos out there and kind of progress from there. Next slide, please. So, man, that's a tough one for me, right? I'm sorry I put that screenshot of that iPhone right there. That notification on the Gmail gives me gives me the willies a little bit. But it's just, we're going to start diving into a bunch of different stuff this year. Not a bunch. We got 2 projects kind of identified that we're going to try to dive into in 2025 as far as expanding our technology footprint, which is an ever-changing just realm of possibilities you get into. It's constantly evolving. I sit there and talk to my kids and see what they're using, and it's obviously not what I use. So it's very generational. I hate probably labeling myself here, but Facebook is pretty much turning into about the mid-30s to over and beyond crowd. Instagram kind of revolves a little bit around the 20s, 30s, 40s, and then below 20s, man, it's just whole different ball game. That thing, depending on what week it is, what folks. But we're going to try to capture all of our audiences and just expand into all different age groups, and we're certainly cognizant of that, and make sure we hit all of our citizens and upcoming leaders in our town. Next slide, please. So through our long-range planning exercise, we kind of decided to fall into 4 seasons worth of it. Obviously, here in just a bit, we're going to sit here and talk about the spring one, but we're going to kind of release these in segments over the year. There on the left side, you see a couple of our concerts that we've had since the Sarah Jones Amphitheater ribbon got popped in August. They gradually gained traction through it all, and we learned a lot. We learned that a 4 o'clock concert in August is, little growing pains. It was good, but it was hot. It was hot. So again, we've learned to work with our partners too, and kind of going back to the calendar thing, not to schedule on top of each other. Kind of just a little bit of learning there, and we're going to continue to probably make a mistake or two, but we're going to learn from it and correct it and make it even better. Glow Golf, you see up there in the top right. I'm not sure if y'all had a chance to go to that, but that was held on a Friday night. Had a little small concert out there for it, and man, that was really, really cool. We're going to try to get those guys back again and do another 1 or 2 of those this year. And give JD some credit. That bottom right picture over there was the big ornament we saw at Christmas tree lighting. We got the vendor to place a couple of those around town, and man, that whole effort really took off. Again, I was pretty proud. My kid came home from college, and I was out one night with him riding around, and he said, I said, man, I got to go check and make sure these lights are on down at Riverside Village. And it was the 2 photo frames that we had down there. I said, oh, man, I was wondering what those were. I saw them all over Snapchat. So, which made me feel good because, I know the adults were using it for the Christmas card type thing, but he, who is not a big social media guy, thank goodness, and just kind of exists, he did notice that on Snapchat, which made me feel good. It means we're kind of appealing to a wide range, and we're gonna look at doing something similar again this year, if not expand on that. But again, so I'm about to release what we're going to do for the spring, our spring series here, 1 of 4. But before I do, again, I'm going to release what we're doing as far as sponsored by Explore North Augusta, but please keep on checking out the calendar. I mean, we've got like the Heart Walk coming up. SRP Park has a couple of events. I know they got a concert, I think a wrestling event going on. Spring Fest will be on there. And, Look Away has been doing a few things in their new edition over there but just check it out. Just again, encouraging you to look at the calendar because what I'm about to show you is not all encompassing of what's going on in North Augusta. So, but really use our website as a tool, and I think it'd be a good thing for you. So, the spring event season here is going to be, Councilwoman Carper, you probably enjoy this. I think you were at all of our concerts last year, I think, and it's going to be concert heavy. The spring is. Next slide, please. So our first 2 here are going to be March 22nd. We're going to kick it off with Whiskey Run. Whiskey Run's a country band. They're from the CSRA. They do mostly originals. They're touring currently in South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. They got a big local following, and they played some larger venues here recently. They played in the House of Blues in Myrtle Beach, I think a week or 2 ago. So they're starting to gain some traction, but they're gonna are going to join us for that first one, March 22nd. March 29th, it's, and by the way, like I say, Derek has really been on the phone a lot with these guys and just, going over their terms and coming over contracts. And Jen has, these posters you see right here is all done in-house. She does those from scratch. Artists usually send out what's called a media kit, and she takes their media photo and kind of makes it her own. So, like both of these are 4-person things. So she just takes a picture of 4 people and just creates it into a graphic. And we got some posters printed up, and all this is let's see, 7 o'clock on the nose. It has just got cut loose probably on social media. We schedule that to go out tonight at 7 p.m. So hopefully we'll gain a lot of traction on advertising these. The one on the right, March 29th, Velcro Pygmies. It's an unusual name. You probably won't forget that one. They have a large following. They're going to make a stop here on March 29th. They're high energy rock band, mainly 70s and 80s. So you can expect to hear music kind of like Queen, Bon Jovi, Kiss, Def Leppard, that kind of genre there.
David knows. David, you see them?
A little,
it's all
little,
free too.
Yeah, it's going to be electric and kind of plugged in. They're high energy. I haven't seen them, but I understand they're pretty solid. So, next slide, please. So, 2 more concerts. Going to wrap up our concert series here for the spring, May 3rd and 17th. And all these are Saturdays, by the way, and they're free to the public. We wanted to keep that thing of not really doing the ticketed thing and just open the doors, and hopefully folks come down there and, if you're looking for a cheap date night, we're here to save you. We're just, we're just open the doors and leave them at 7 o'clock. So they're a little bit family friendly, so you're not worried about, getting the kids home at like 11 o'clock. You choose to take the whole family down there, and it's late enough to make you feel like, you're out for the evening as well. Crystal Meningall. She's a local artist at CSRA. We actually met her at the ribbon cutting for the amphitheater. She was there as part of Sharon Jones' crew. She's a niece of Sharon Jones. She was so thrilled that those renovations took place down there. She was fired up about playing down there at some point. So we took her card and checked her out. She's actually a really good artist. She's more in the soul, gospel, jazz series. She has a lot of her original songs have a Christian message behind them, and really good artist. And I'm looking forward to having them down there. As you can tell, we've got kind of a local vibe going on for our spring concert series, which I think is a great thing too. To close it out, May 17th is Going South. Many of you may be familiar with them. It's a Ryan Abel project. They played down there 2 years ago. They've been kind of dormant for a couple of years, almost 2 years. And they played down there for Rockin' for a Miracle, which was a fundraiser for the Miracle League project. Raised a lot of money from them. I think they got close to selling that one out. It was one of our biggest crowds we had down there. So I think we're going to blow the top off on May 17th. It's really going to be a good show. Local artists. They're a Southern rock kind of group. You can expect to hear Leonard Skinner, Tom Petty, Allman Brothers type of vibe to it. And many of you know Ryan's a citizen of North Augusta, and great vocals, great showmanship, and really looking forward to that. So, but I guess 7 p.m. I guess Jen's got the schedule released out there. I think it's floating around. So we're looking forward to a good year. And like I say, we've got a lot of stuff booked for the rest of the year. We're going to kind of release this in segments, keep everybody on their toes, and looking forward to it.
Awesome. Okay. They're doing great. Thank you, Carl.
Great. Yes, sir.
I will tell you, I've had a kind of sneak peek. If they presented the whole year at one time, it would knock you off your seat. I'm telling you, they've gone insane. I mean, it's gonna be good.
Oh, it's our favorite time of the evening, which is our debris update. And actually, before I go to the debris update, while I still at least have some of the viewers at home's attention, I'd like to give a quick update to council on impact fees. I know there was a news article based on the Planning Commission from last week about impact fees, and that they had approved the the options, if you will, to come to you. But I wanted to lay out for you just so you know what's coming for the upcoming week. So for the next study session on March 10th will be another update for impact fees with Carson Bice, based on some of the guidance we got from council. And then we will not be presenting an ordinance in the following council meeting. So you have some additional time to deliberate, and those ordinances won't be presented until April. So just wanted to know that I had several questions from council members and also from constituents about impact fees. So I was remiss in covering that earlier this evening, but wanted to make sure that was out there for you all to consider as we go forward. And with that, now we'll go into the Hurricane Helene recovery update. So it's been a little while since we have an update, but we've gotten a fair amount done. So just so y'all are tracking the city leadership level, we've requested through SEMD a FEMA extension for the 100% reimbursement. We've not received word on that as of yet, but that was in conjunction with Aiken County and our surrounding municipalities, all requested the same. So that's been something we've been in dialogue with our state delegation, with SEMD, and also with FEMA directly. The other thing that's of importance is that Jason Sykes and his team have completed 100% of second pass on the city-maintained roads. And so that's been a great effort there. In addition to that, we had SDR, our contractor, going through concurrently and removing stumps. So to date, on only the city-maintained roads, we've identified 46 stumps, of which 34 have already been removed. We have 14 remaining, 5 of which are attached. Those are going to take longer. The good news, those are not in the roadways, but those are stumps that have been uprooted. But there's a separate environmental requirement that goes along with that, which is extensive and will take some time. But we have only 9 remaining unattached stumps that we're going to be working on throughout the next week or two to get those done. Also, SDR is focusing right now on consolidating the city dump sites to the contractor dump sites. So the contractor is operating 2 dump sites within the city, and the city is operating 4 dump sites. And so what happens is when our city crews collect things off with Jason's crews, they drop it at a city dump site, and then they have to pick it up from that city dump site to their contractor dump site to eventually backhaul it out of the city, and that is a FEMA requirement. So we're not allowed to dump directly onto the contractor dump site. So there has to be a staging area for that. And so what SDR is doing now is we've requested that they close out some of our contractor dump sites, and I'll show you the city dump sites to the contractor dump sites, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. And also, they've started to do some limited backhaul operations to take the debris out of the city limits and take it to its final resting place, wherever that may be. I think they've only taken about 2,000 cubic yards or so of debris out, but it's at least a start, and that's going to see that as an uptick over the next couple of weeks as they remove things. SCDOT is continuing to do work on the side roads, and Jen's been doing a great job of posting that on our city page, so you can see where SCDOT has been working in a number of our neighborhoods. And then Tom Zeser and his team has submitted for an NRSC emergency grant, which really has to do with our some of our creeks, in particular the one that's over by the formerly known as Weeping Willows apartment complex, and some of the damage that was done there. So that is a no match requirement grant. So that would be a fully federally funded grant, not a city match requirement. And so that's currently with the federal government now for action, and we'll see what that looks like. But we had NRC personnel along the state of South Carolina, personnel that walked the ground and saw the work that we'd requested, and at least on site, they seemed positively predisposed and helped us walk through the process of what that would look like and what they would need to do to help us out. So I feel like that's going to be a likely win for us going forward, and that's almost $1 million kind of request. Next slide. So I really want to talk a little bit about the debris consolidation. There's a couple of things going on here on the map. So you can see the circles with the red arrows. Those are the city-operated sites for debris removal. One is at the Country Club, and so that's a very short drive. That arrow is probably way too long. And so ultimately, it's just a matter of shuttling that debris from the city site to the contractor site, which is also on the Country Club property. But then we've also been operating dump sites over at the Fifth Street Bridge, which really was servicing River North and some of the other neighborhoods there on the east side of town. And then also a smaller site at Belvedere, which is also going to be consolidated. So both those would end up going to the Buena Vista site that the contractor is operating, and that's the largest site that the contractor has. And that eye chart there with the yellow dots is every stump that we've identified to date. I haven't greened up the ones that were actually picked up, but that gives you a sense of how many stumps. And again, that's only city roads. That's 25% of the road network. That does not count for the SCDOT stumps, which are also all over the place. And SCDOT is going to be working to get those started to remove here, hopefully in the near future. Next slide. They want to give you some metrics. So to date, the contractors have removed 94,000 plus cubic yards of debris from city streets and rights of way. I can tell you pretty definitively we're going to crack 100,000 cubic yards here within the next several days as they consolidate those city piles to their pile, because that'll count against those numbers. And then you can see there on the debris volume by day, again, you'll see some gaps in there around Christmas time and also through bad weather and Thanksgiving. But ultimately, they've been going pretty steadily here since the start of the new year. And then the Riverside Boulevard site there at East Buena Vista is the largest of the sites as far as the amount of debris, not the square yards, if you will. And then Gregory Lake Road, which is the country club property, is a smaller site for them, just based on the neighborhoods and the locality. Next slide. So as we go forward, just so you all know, I've got Jason Sykes working right now on life, health, safety items and also on the mixed neighborhoods. It's very clear and clean when you have a neighborhood that's all city, or it's very clear and clean when you have an SCDOT only neighborhood. We have lots of neighborhoods that have a mixture of SCDOT and city roads, and in those neighborhoods, we've identified there are some gaps associated with debris pickup. And so we've got Jason working on those gap areas now, and so we're starting in Crestland, that's over by North Augusta Middle School, is the first neighborhood that Jason's going to be working, and then he'll be working west from that point, and I'll give you some further updates in the next council meeting on where we've got them. We'll still be removing stumps as we find them. Consolidation of our city debris sites to the contractor site will be ongoing. We're going to leave one site open, which is over by the activity center, over by the soccer fields. So that'll be our final site to close out, but I would not imagine we're going to close that site out for several more weeks as we go forward. We have also a initiative now that we're getting largely through some of the streets that we have to get to the things that are less visible to the citizenry, but are still important. So one of them is our stormwater detention ponds, and we're responsible for 11 of those right now, and we've got debris and trees falling on those sites. So we have that out for bid now, which closes March 7th on the city website. We're also going to have to contract out for some fence repairs around a number of the retention ponds, and then also we're going to have to clear the utility easements. So even though they'll be on private property, we have city easements to get to access to the manhole covers for our sewer system. And so we're doing a development now, the request for proposals, but we'll have that on the street here pretty soon. So those are some of this is not a all-inclusive list, but these are things that we're focused on here over the next 30 days. Next slide. And with that, I'll take any of your questions.
Great work. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, subject to any comments from you or council, that concludes tonight's study session from the staff.
All right. The only thing I'm going to add is if you looked at the agenda, the proclamation, I'm going to read the Disabilities Awareness proclamation on Monday, but Tri Development is not going to be here. So I'm going to go out to Tri Development Center on March the 12th at 10 o'clock and read it to their folks out there and spend some time. So if y'all are available, March the 12th, right, Jamie? March the 12th, yeah. I think it's at 10 o'clock, 10 to 11. So I think it'd be a great, the one here in North Augusta. Yeah, so that's where we'll read it to all those folks and get a chance to hang out with all those young people as well. So anyway, that's going to be really neat. All right, anything else for the good of the order? David, anything you need to say? Okay, Pat, you good? Kevin, Jen, you good? Okay, thank y'all. Have a good evening. We stand adjourned.